Joseph Alhadeff. My day job is that I work for Oracle as their Vice President for Global Public Policy and their Chief Privacy Strategist. But I'm here in my capacity through the International Chamber of Commerce and the BASIS Initiative, and within the ICC, I'm actually the chair of the Digital Economy Commission. Well, I think the ICC BASIS group, while it does contain in its membership some of the people who are more directly connected to the IANA functions, is actually a broad membership of businesses that are kind of the beneficiaries of the IANA functions, if you will, people for whom their commercial enterprises depend upon the names working correctly, the associations of names and numbers being done in a correct fashion, and all of the things that we have as today's stability of the internet continue to work. So the importance of that group is that while clearly there's a very specific role for the people who have these much more specific functions related to IANA, there's also a role for those people who are the beneficiary of those functions, because they need to have an assurance that those functions are transitioned properly so that the stability and the functionality of the internet remains. We tend to work as a consensus-based organization, and we actually also do outreach beyond the ICC BASIS members. So whether it's just through the national committees of ICC where we do outreach, or also through other business organizations that we have relationships with, some of whom are also BASIS members, such as WITSA and some of the other organizations. And what we try to do is we try to, where possible, develop a consensus position across the organizations, because that also helps. If the communities can develop some part of consensus and bring those consensus to this kind of larger group, then it helps that group take into account those things. The more you have fragmented opinions, even across the constituency, the less useful those opinions are when they come into the group. Well, interestingly, in an early part of my career when I was working for the U.S. Council for International Business, which is actually the American affiliate to the International Chamber of Commerce, we were one of the organizations that was involved in the discussions which resulted in the creation of ICANN. So one could say I've had a long history, shall we say, maybe I was in the first transition of these issues as well. I don't see being the sole representative for that group to be a challenge. We have a large group standing behind me, so it is a consultative process. It is not just me making decisions on behalf of the group, but me as liaison, interlocutor, and face of the group into this process. There are also other members of business constituencies who are representatives within this process, and we will be liaising with them as well. So the process to date has been a very constructive process where I think the stakeholders were not holding themselves above others, but trying to figure out how to work with the other stakeholders in the room. We have the Internet Governance Forum and the implications that the Internet Governance Forum has had across the multi-stakeholder dimension. We've had the importance that Net Mundial played in getting a multi-stakeholder group together, and for the first time we saw ministers standing online with the rest of us to get 2 minutes at a microphone. That was shall we say, that was the equality of all parties that we've never seen before, to some sense. But on a more serious note, I think the concept of internet governance from the time of ICANN's founding to now, and the role of multi-stakeholderism in that, has changed dramatically and expanded dramatically. And we're now going through the maturity process. So we've been going through a growing process, and now we're going through a maturity process. So I think that shift from fighting for the concept to be accepted as a concept at all, and moving it into a concept where now we're trying to figure out what are the practical underpinnings of this concept, that maturing process, that's perhaps the historic shift that we're now witnessing, and it's a tremendously important one.